making the magic happen. Hello everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome back to Tarot Magpie. I hope you're doing all kinds of good. I'm back with another video in the Top Tarot Trumps tag series. Today we're doing the Magician, the first numbered card in the Major Arcana. I've got 5 Magician cards that I've chosen to share with you today, but I thought I would also briefly just kind of grab this mini Rider-Waite-Smith Centennial Magician and chat through like what the Magician means to me, or the aspects of the Magician that I like to focus on and that I therefore like to see in tarot cards. So the Magician is creation and creativity and willpower and vision. Those are like some of my favorite keywords for the Magician. They are ready to turn their inner transformation outwards. So they've done the Fool thing, they've done that kind of first step. If we're thinking about the Major Arcana as a sequence, they've taken that first step and now they're kind of manifesting it in the world, in their external reality. The Magician is the kind of spark of motivation in creation, and they have all of the elements in front of them. They have all of their resources at hand. They are a conduit for creation and transformation between the spiritual and the physical, which is what I take from the kind of as above, so below thing, like that inner or that spiritual transformation is being mirrored and reflected in the physical external world. And within that, there is an equilibrium, which is what the resources that are in front of them are. So like, just as matter cannot be created or destroyed, the elements also are constant renewal. So the Magician knows that they have resources and power, and that what they need to do is act and affect that balance and put change into motion. Some of my other favorite Magician keywords are, like I said, manifestation in terms of a very literal meaning of manifestation, and then alchemy and transmutation as well, with the Mercury planetary association in there as well. And Mercury as Quicksilver and the Magician, like that's what I like to see in a Magician card, or that's what I kind of focus on as the main energy of the Magician. So with all that being said, I am going to zoom back out as we grab some more reasonably sized cards and get into it. So the first Magician I have is this one here from the Horror Tarot. This is a mass market deck published by Insight Editions, and this is a mad scientist Magician, and I love this. I love this twist on that creation and manifestation archetype as this mad scientist who, or like Dr. Frankenstein, who's making something new out of existing parts. I feel like this is a very fun take on a resourceful Magician, because that's another thing about the Magician. The Magician is resourceful, like he has everything in front of him, but when you think about that balance of equilibrium and matter, it's not an endless resource, like it is being created and recreated from what he's already got. So there's a resourcefulness there, and I really like that being expressed in this like mad scientist kind of image. This is also just a really fun take on the Magician. I really like a lot of the cards in this deck because they are a bit of a twist, but they're a really accurate portrayal to my mind. So that is the Horror Tarot. I've also got the Magician from the Tarot del Fuego, which is another deck that I talk about all the time. This is another mass market by Fournier. This is quite a chaotic looking card, which I kind of like for the Magician. I quite like, it feels very alive and very vital and very much that initial kind of push of creating something, of making something, is that it feels kind of all chaos and all go until things haven't settled down yet. Things haven't gotten into their groove yet. It's that kind of act of taking the reins and making the magic happen, which is very cheesy, but it works. So yeah, and the other thing I really like about this Magician is I feel like it gets that as above, so below thing with the way the eyes are done. And I don't know, I just really like that. I really like reading that in this card because obviously our traditional magician has one hand pointing up, one pointing down, and we've kind of got that. We've got one hand on the branch, which can be the wand, and then one pointing down and resting on the tree stump, which I feel is very earthy. But I just like that it's reflected in the eyes there too. And I do also just really like the branches growing out of his head here. It feels very like manifesty in quite a physical way. All right, my card was full, so I got interrupted, but I was saying that I really like the branches and the way that feels like a very tangible manifestation. It's not the like think positive and your dreams will come true vision boarding kind of manifestation. It really is that very like literal, grounded idea of making things manifest in the real world. And I also like the dice on the table in front of him as a reference to like the Marseille magician or the like trickster street magician, which is what another one of these is. So overall, I really like this magician card. I like a lot of the symbols, and again, I just think this deck generally is gorgeous, and I like the kind of fiery, chaotic nature of it. All right, we have the Magician from the Naturescapes Tarot, which is a make playing cards print on demand deck, and we have the Northern Lights here, or the Aurora Borealis. And I love this because the fact that the Northern Lights is something that we can see on Earth in the sky feels like magic. Like that's the kind of nature that feels like magic. It's this gorgeous, beautiful display. It's so otherworldly. It's like supernatural feeling. Like I don't, if you've ever seen the Northern Lights, let me know. I've only ever seen a little flicker of them in England one time, which was really cool that it came that south, but I've seen like a flicker of green in the sky, and that was so cool, and I can't imagine seeing like the full display. And I feel like it feels like something that would seem almost supernatural, but it's just a quirk of the Earth's atmosphere and like the magnetic poles and, what is it, particles from the sun, solar particles hitting the Earth's atmosphere, right, creates this gorgeous display. And so that feels very magician because nothing extra special is actually happening. It's a combination of natural elements that have been happening for probably as long as the Earth has had an atmosphere, I would assume. It just happens at random, but it looks so incredible, and it looks like something that is very magical, and I can see why people would take it to be this very spiritual or supernatural thing, but it is just the elements doing what they do. And I really like that as the magician. So that is the Naturescapes. We have the Gay Marseille, and it's really going to be a struggle for me not to pull the Gay Marseille for pretty much every card in the major arcana because I'm just in love with this deck. But this is a new release indie deck. I think at the moment they maybe have run out of copies, but I imagine that it's going to be available to buy. There's going to be another print run. So anyway, and I like this one because it is that trickster magician, street magician kind of vibe, like I briefly mentioned with the dice on the Del Fuego. But this is that street magician with like the cup and ball game and the like cheeky facial expression I really like. I like the street magician or the trickster magician as a representation because it's a reminder that sometimes when the magician shows up in a reading, it's not magic, it's just tricks. Manifestation is sometimes just manipulation or an abuse of, or a misuse rather, of somebody's power. And so I like that kind of reminder of that element of the magician, but in a very traditional card. It's why I like a lot of Marseille magicians. This is kind of also a stand-in for Marseille magicians in general. I just don't have a whole ton of Marseille decks. And then I also really love the green carnation in this one, which was a symbol for gay men popularized by Oscar Wilde, and the guidebook references Oscar Wilde as a word magician, which I also really love as a take. And like I say, this is the Gay Marseille, so I love having that detail in there on top of what is already just a very tricksy seeming magician. You could definitely take it that way, that street magician, kind of not malicious, but definitely someone you want to be a little bit wary of. All right, and then finally, this is the Magician from the Lubanko Tarot, and I love this. I love the kind of raw power in this card. Something about the line work and the movement, it feels so dynamic. I really, really enjoy that. And the thing I love is the multi-arms happening and the way that that represents someone who is kind of multi-talented, pulling from a lot of resources again. So I don't know if we've got all 4 of the suit symbols here. I don't think we have. We've got a wand. I suppose you could see this as a cup, this like cauldron, or this is a cup here. But I don't think I see a sword or a pentacle explicitly. So we don't have, although hey, is this a pentacle? It's like I've never looked at this card before, honestly. But anyhow, it's not the traditional everything laid out on a table. I can definitely see this as somebody pulling from lots of different resources. We're like doing lots of different things at once. It's again a kind of similar like chaotic energy to the Del Fuego a little bit. And the magician is, let's see, the magician is Mercury. I'm thinking zodiac-wise, which it usually is, the Mercury is going to be either Gemini, which is air, or Virgo, which is earth. But I think of the magician as quite a fiery card in a lot of ways because it's that like initial push. But anyway, I digress. This does have that like getting things going, initiation kind of energy to it. I really like this depiction. We've also got the finger pointing up and down, like we've got the as above, so below kind of thing happening. It's very much in the moment of making magic, whereas this, you know, the Rider Waite Smith is a little bit more static. I'm not really feeling the act of creation happening here, whereas with something like this, I think it's much more present in the card. All right, so those are my magicians, and I'm gonna leave this video there. Let me know what you think. Let me know who your favorite magician cards are, if you agree with my choices. Let me know if you pick out something very different in the magician card when you're thinking about it, because I know we all have our own takes on the tarot and the aspects in a card that are the most like meaningful or important to us. So I'm totally curious if you read the magician in quite a different way. You know, drop me a comment, let me know, all that good stuff. And I will let you go. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. If you've made it this far, I really hope you've enjoyed. Give me a like if you liked it and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.